I stopped buying worms after using this cardboard trick. Worms multiply like crazy. If you've ever opened your compost bin only to find just a few sluggish worms doing their best to process your kitchen scraps, you definitely know the frustration. You add more peels, you keep up the moisture levels just right, you turn the compost just like every guide says, and still, the worm population stays disappointingly low. For a long time, I assumed I just had bad luck with worms. So, I did what many gardeners do. I kept buying worms. Every few months, another batch. And every time, those worms would slowly disappear into the soil or fall victim to predators before their population could really take off. Then, I discovered something so simple that I honestly felt a bit foolish: the cardboard trick. No expensive worm farms, no secret feed, no fancy worm booster products, just cardboard. The same cardboard most people just toss in the recycling bin without a second thought. And, from that moment, everything changed. Here's what I eventually learned. Worms don't just want food, they want habitat. Yes, they'll eat vegetable scraps, greens, browns, and manures, but that's just not enough to encourage them to settle, breed, and multiply. Most scraps break down way too quickly. They heat up, they rot fast. They attract fruit flies and pests. Worms may visit, but they don't stay. Cardboard changes the entire ecosystem. When you add strips or layers of damp cardboard into your compost or soil, you're not just feeding worms. You're giving them shelter, moisture balance, and a breeding zone. To a worm, a damp piece of cardboard is like a cozy apartment that holds moisture, stays cool, and gives them cellulose to slowly munch through. Unlike kitchen scraps that disappear in days, cardboard sticks around for weeks, sometimes even months, creating long-term habitat stability. When cardboard breaks down, it creates small tunnels and moist chambers, perfect conditions for worms to lay cocoons. A single worm cocoon contains between 2 to 20 baby worms, and they only hatch when the environment is right. Without stable moisture and shelter, those cocoons dry out, or get exposed. But inside damp cardboard, they thrive. That's when I realized this wasn't just about feeding worms, it was about inviting them to stay and multiply. And once I changed my focus from adding food to creating habitat, something magical happened. My worm population tripled in one season without buying a single batch. Let's break this down step by step. Here's the exact method I used, and it works beautifully for both container composting and in-ground beds. Step 1. Shabanan nam Adibekampan. Choose the right cardboard. Not all cardboard is equal, you know. Avoid any cardboard with glossy prints, colored ink, or heavy tape. You want plain brown corrugated cardboard or brown egg cartons. These contain cellulose without toxic dyes that can harm soil life. Step 2. Pre-soak for activation. The key here is moisture. Dry cardboard won't work. Worms avoid dry, rigid material because it draws moisture from their skin. So, tear or cut the cardboard into strips or small squares and soak them in water for about 10 minutes until it's fully pliable. Squeeze gently. You want it damp, not dripping. Step 3. Layer it strategically. Instead of mixing it randomly, layer your cardboard like lasagna between your kitchen scraps or garden waste. For worm bins, place a thick cardboard layer at the bottom, then scraps, then another cardboard layer. For garden beds, simply dig shallow trenches and lay the cardboard mixed with compost or manure. Step 4. Add a microbial starter. This part is optional, but honestly, it's pretty powerful. To really supercharge the breakdown, just splash a little diluted molasses or compost tea over the cardboard. What this does is jumpstart microbial activity, which warms and softens the cardboard just enough to make it, totally irresistible to worms. Step 5. Maintain moisture, then leave it alone. This is actually where most gardeners go wrong. They disturb the soil way too often. Once your cardboard is laid out and moist, cover it with mulch, grass clippings, shredded leaves, or even soil, and then just leave that area untouched for at least 3 weeks. Worms really need a quiet and stable habitat if they're going to breed comfortably. Within a few weeks, you can gently lift a section and look for these signs: slimy, softened cardboard fibers. This means microbes have started their work. Clusters of tiny worms, especially hanging out near the edges of the cardboard. Yellowish or amber worm cocoons that look like tiny lemons or little teardrops. and fine, crumbly castings forming around the cardboard pieces. If you spot these, congratulations, you've created a living worm nursery. When you buy worms and toss them into a bin or compost pile, you're introducing them into unknown territory. If conditions aren't ideal, they escape or die. But when you build habitat first, worms arrive naturally, from the soil, from composted leaf litter, even from the undersides of mulch layers. When they find an area rich in cardboard habitat, they move in willingly and multiply without stress. Think of it like this: you can't force worms to work, you have to invite them to stay. Bonus: cardboard balances nitrogen-rich scraps. Kitchen scraps and green grass clippings are high in nitrogen, which heats compost quickly and can, actually repel worms. Cardboard, being carbon-rich, balances the compost chemistry, slowing the process just enough to keep it cool, moist, and worm-friendly. This is why, even if you're practicing hot composting, adding cardboard creates cool microzones where worms can survive and reproduce, while the rest of the pile heats up naturally. Using the trick directly in garden beds, you can take this method beyond composting and apply it right into garden soil. I use what I call Soilsage Pockets, small zones of worm habitat right in the growing beds. Here's how to do it. Dig a small hole or trench near plant roots. Place soaked cardboard pieces mixed with a handful of compost or manure, cover and mulch, and then leave that area moist and undisturbed. That's it. So, here's what you can expect over time. In about 1 month, you'll notice worms beginning to gather and feed. By the second month, cocoons will appear and the hatchlings will start to spread out. After 3 to 4 months, the area transforms into this rich, dark, worm-cast-loaded soil. And honestly, by 6 months, you'll probably wonder why you ever bought worms in the first place. And hey, the best part? It costs nothing. Here are some tips to really maximize your worm colonies for the long haul. Keep the cardboard coming. Add fresh layers every few weeks to maintain the habitat. Make sure you maintain moisture because dry cardboard will just stop the whole process. It's important to protect the area from chickens, birds, or any kind of aggressive turning. And don't forget to rotate those cardboard pockets throughout your garden to naturally colonize all areas. This simple hack actually reminded me of something pretty important. Gardening isn't about forcing results, it's about creating conditions where nature basically handles the work for you. Worms don't need to be farmed, bought, or micromanaged. They just need a reason to stay. And sometimes, that reason is as simple as a piece of damp cardboard. If you're tired of spending money on worms or just disappointed by slow population growth in your compost or soil, I challenge you to try this cardboard method. Start small, observe, and just watch nature respond in the most rewarding way. If you found this helpful and you believe in practical, natural soil wisdom, make sure to subscribe to Soilsage Chronicles, drop a comment about your results, and share this with a fellow gardener who needs to stop buying worms and start farming them the natural way. Let's keep the soil alive, one piece of cardboard at a time.